afternoon, Panthers. My name is Bryan Johnson, and I will be the host of today's podcast. And I'm also here with my two co-hosts.
Hi, my name is Shania Manny, and I am a member of the Student Advisory Council, and I'm also hoping to go into my second term as SGA president.
Hi, I'm Carrington Pope, and I'm going into my fourth year as SGA president.
All right. And today we have a very special and important guest. We have Dr. Bryan Johnson. He was the chief academic officer for Clarksville Montgomery County School System, and he served as superintendent of Hamilton County Schools in Chattanooga. He also has degrees from Austin Peay University, Belmont University, and Trevecca University, where he earned a doctorate in educational leadership. And as of recently, he has been announced as the new superintendent of Atlanta Public Schools. Give it up. Yeah. So, Dr. Johnson, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, product of the public schools there. Have had a pretty lengthy opportunity in public education as a teacher and school administrator, assistant principal, et cetera, all the way up to the district office, serving as chief academic officer, and most recently as superintendent in K-12. Also had a stint in the private sector as a corporate executive, and had an opportunity to work in higher education, where I currently work as I transition executive vice chancellor and chief strategy officer for the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. So I've had the opportunity to see full spectrum, and I'm excited to come to Atlanta, married with a 12-year-old that will be an Atlanta Public School student, and so we're elated to be here.
Congrats. We appreciate you all coming down here.
Yeah, we're excited.
So, you're recently transitioning into the superintendent role. Can you tell us what was your favorite role before, stepping up as a superintendent?
Golly, that's a good question. So the superintendency is a exciting role in and of itself, because you have an opportunity to affect change for students like yourselves, and so it's definitely humbling when you realize the gravity of the role that you have. I would say my favorite role was serving as a teacher and a coach. So I was a football coach and a teacher, and having an opportunity to obviously be in the classroom, but then in the afternoons and sometimes evenings to spend with students. I really enjoyed that experience.
That's great. So as you're like a leader now, well, you've been a leader. You've been stepping up to multiple places, challenging multiple schools. Can you tell us some of the challenges you faced over the years?
Yeah, I've experienced all types of challenges. Anytime you're in a leadership role, I always remind myself that I'm there to serve people, and anytime you're serving people, you want to serve them well, and that's everybody from obviously students in the classroom to teachers and school leaders that I've worked to support. And so, there's always challenges, whether it's new legislation that comes into play or new federal regulations that come into play, or community desires that the community wants to see. You have to work through all of those challenges to get to where you want to be. And so I've been very, very fortunate to have had the opportunity to navigate some of those challenges, and I'm excited to bring those learnings to Atlanta.
I'm pretty sure we're excited to have you too.
I appreciate the excitement. Just keep it going.
I'm gonna pass the torch to my co-host here.
All right.
So we have a question. Can you explain your vision for Atlanta Public Schools in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so it's really simple. I believe that Atlanta Public Schools should be the best urban school district in the country. And, my conviction and the conviction of the board is that we know the resources are here, and if we align the resources with intentionality, our students can be positioned to be successful at the end of the day. And the three of you are prime examples of what we want to measure ourselves against. When you graduate, we don't want you to just graduate. We want you to graduate fully prepared to know exactly where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And so whether that's entering into a 4-year university or a 2-year technical program where you walk away with a certification or credential that can position you to go into a career, we want to ensure that we don't just have a strong graduation rate, but we have an even stronger preparation rate. And we want you all to be fully prepared leaving. So to be the best urban school district in the country and to see students graduating and being prepared at really high levels. And then obviously there's a multitude of other areas in which we'll want to measure, like literacy, for instance, which is a focus for our school board and for our community and for myself. We want to make sure that our third graders and fourth graders and fifth graders, that they're readers, and that also in the early learning areas we're addressing some things as well. So that's a kind of broad stroke of vision that we have, and we're really excited to see it come to fruition.
That's a really great idea, your vision for Atlanta Public Schools. What initiatives are you most excited to implement during your tenure?
Yeah, so I think the initiatives that I'm most excited about is, so I want to be clear. One of the things that these conversations have been really helpful for me with, and obviously I've been on or had the opportunity to do several town halls, is to gain context from the community about what's really important. And as we, really firm up what those areas of importance are, we'll be able to really, hopefully articulate some things that we as a community, and I say community at large, want to move towards. We know there's some big work to do in literacy, as I mentioned earlier. We know there's some big work to do in regards to post-secondary preparation and college and career readiness. We know those two areas in particular, that there's significant work to be done. Also in the area of special education, we've heard that there's a lot of opportunity for students that have needs, and we want to make sure that we're intentional about supporting those needs. So I'm really excited to continue to listen, to continue to firm up, what things we want to attack as a community and to move that work forward.
I think you and Dr. Edwards would be great friends because y'all both have this mindset to be the best at everything y'all can be. And, y'all are actually putting in the effort and putting in the work to help APS students be successful in life. And I believe that's a good thing to have.
I definitely appreciate it. We don't accept anything but the best. We want the best effort in every single thing that's done. And I tell my 12-year-old son that all the time. If you give me your best, I'm going to be satisfied with whatever the result is. But if you haven't given the best, and even if you win and you haven't given the best, then I'm going to ask you where was your best. And so we expect the best for ourselves. We expect the best for and of our students. And so we're in this thing together, and we'll continue to move forward.
So I have a couple questions, and one of them is, how do you plan to engage with students, parents, and the community to ensure that their voices are heard?
Well, so the first great step that's happened is obviously these town halls. We've had 4 of them. There's 2 more to happen. I don't know when this recording will be released. They may be done by the time we get done. But we've got we've had an opportunity to go across the community and to hear some really important things. So obviously that's a level of engagement. I always want to make myself available to students. One thing I've learned during my career is that you all tell us really candidly what's on your minds and what you see. Y'all have a really great pulse, and in particular as you get to the secondary level, you're really clear on those thoughts, and so we want to listen to that. Obviously, there's an advisory council, and there's some structures that are in place that will allow us to and afford us an opportunity to gather that input in kind of a formalized way. But I've always been an academic leader that's on the ground and in schools, and so I expect students to come up to me and tell me what's going on, tell me what's going well and what's not. I heard from I think she's a 4th grader yesterday, that we got to work on school lunch a little bit, and so I know the board's been focused on. Y'all might agree. I know the board's been focused on that as an area to work to continue to improve. So we want student voice is going to be really important throughout our tenure.
What is one piece of advice you would tell your younger self?
Oh man, that's a great question too. I think I'd tell my younger self to go slow to go fast. I think what I mean by that is I think so many times in life and in society, everything's a rush, and there's a sense of urgency, obviously around this body of work that I get the privilege of supporting. But there's a sense of urgency for everything, and that urgency is obviously necessary in order to attain the results that you want. At the same time, I've said this over and over: context and understanding the why matters. And so the more intentional you are about listening and the more intentional you are about seeking to understand versus being understood, the more informed you are and the better positioned you're going to be to implement whatever it is you want to implement with urgency. And so you end up going faster because you have more context and you're not making some of the missteps that you may have made without that level of context. So I would go slow to go fast, really gain context, really understand, versus just making a decision such that when you make the decision, you know you've really positioned yourself to make the right one.
Right.
So finally, what advice would you give to students who aspire to be future leaders?
Put in the work. Just very simply put in the work. And I know it's kind of cliche. Nothing comes without hard work. But that's really the defining difference. You will get to a point and a place where the talent and skills and everybody is really capable. The differentiator is work ethic and the people that work really hard. And so if you take that talent and skill and you put it with hard work, and you put it with commitment and focus, you can position yourself to be things beyond your imagination. And so even as I sit here today, I envisioned myself one day potentially being a superintendent, never at 41 when I'd say I would have been going to my second superintendency and be in Atlanta. So, I think obviously I'm humbled that I've been blessed with some talents and gifts, but we've tried to work really, really hard. And so my advice would be to work really hard. That would be it.
That's very inspiring. I got one more question. So what would be your ideal way to get more student government associations involved with the board?
Yeah. With the board in general, so I think it's a great question too. When I think about you all's involvement, first we've got to elevate the work that you all at board, like SGAs like yourselves, are doing. You all are exemplars here. I can already tell your level of engagement and involvement, which is really, really exciting. We want to bring that to light. Ms. Collins, who's the board rep of this area, pointed out the fact that you all are really engaged. So it's really elevating the bright spots that we have in the district where it's working and seeing how we can continue to accelerate that across the system and to continue to make those connections. And so we want to support that in any way we can.
Yeah. And so you mentioned one of the main focuses for this year is literacy, right? Raising literacy scores on what is it, the MAP or the milestones?
It obviously will be the milestones and the MAP. We want to see it raised across the board, absolutely.
And so what are some other key focuses that you guys have?
Yeah, college and career readiness will be a focus. And when I say college and career readiness, it'll be certification credentials, advanced placement, dual enrollment, those kinds of opportunities for students will absolutely be a focus. And working to expand those. We know we're entering later in the year and schedules are built. And so, we know it can be quasi-challenging to get that done at this particular juncture. We've got to do some things in special education. We've heard that quite a bit. So we know we've got to lean in there. And then overall, it's for me to gain context about Atlanta public schools and to understand what the needs are.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was very, very informative.
Absolutely. Thank y'all very much.
Of course.
Of course.
Hope you have a great school year, and I look forward to seeing you when I come by. Thank you all.
Thank you.